Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. We are joined today by Alise Saunders. Alise is a digital nomad travel blogger, bookkeeper, life skills coach, entrepreneur, and warrior. In 2020, Alise realized and embraced her dream of being a travel blogger. Alise and her husband, Greg, let their apartment lease expire, donated most of their belongings with no home to return to, and in April 2021, they set out as digital nomad travel bloggers. In their blog, Tales from an Untamed Soul, they provide a free ebook, How to Become a Digital Nomad, and free destination guides to make choosing places to digital nomad even easier. There is so much more to this story, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. So Alise, welcome to Madness Cafe. We are very excited to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited to be here.
So I think it's a really interesting topic because it's trending all over the socials, how to be a traveling blogger, a nomad, etc. But you actually did it.
Yes, I did.
Tell us your story. How did this happen?
It was travel and nature and healing has been a significant part of my journey, especially after my MS diagnosis, and I was able to self-heal that lesion. And I felt like I had a brand new lease on life. At that point, my husband and I had made some plans to start traveling, and I was going to leave my job and open my own business. You know, we had put the deposit down on the Sprinter van, and on the day that we went to go pick it up, he was like, "Oh, I can't do it. It's too small. I don't think this is the right thing." And so then we spent a couple of years just regrouping and trying to figure that out. And so during COVID, I had already previously started my own business, but COVID allowed me the opportunity to shut out the rest of the world and really get in touch with what were my heart's desires. I felt this energy growing in me, like I was ready for something else. I just didn't know what it was. As the process of connecting with my heart's desires, listening to my higher self, hearing that inner voice coming through, because I wasn't listening to the rest of the world and what everyone else was telling me I should do, this just naturally evolved. Travel, nature, let's go, let's do it. And I became distinctly aware that so many of us want this life that I felt compelled to share the journey with other people, because I know I was stuck in I see someone doing it. There must be something special about them. They must be rich. They must have something that I don't have, right?
Yeah.
And so we just really want to help people understand we're just regular people who decided to sell everything, let go of our lease, put our stuff in our car and go. And we've been on the road 613 days now.
Wow.
That is impressive. Where was the first place that you guys went to?
Humboldt, Tennessee. Obviously, there was not, a huge methodology to that choice other than the fact that we didn't want to have to drive too far from where our home had been. We tried to stay in like a 1 or 2 day trip every time that we got in the car. And we still do that. We were kind of in that Tennessee area from Texas. So we started looking at Airbnbs and trying to figure out who would take the cats, because we travel with our 2 cats, Samson and Delilah. We found this Airbnb that was on a horse farm, and it had a porch swing, and it was quiet, and the land was expansive, and the Airbnb just looked dreamy, comfortable. The town looked so cute, very small town. We were ready to get out of the big city and start doing some nature healing. And it could not have been more perfect for our first adventure. The town welcomed us. I fell in love with the horses. I was on the porch every night with the barn cat curled up in a blanket as we watched the sunset. I mean, it was magical. It was absolutely magical. The universe helped conspire this beautiful moment for us because we dared to step out of the box, and amazing things like that continue to happen for us all the time.
Oh, you said you did a lot of soul searching during that time frame where what was the van called you were going to get?
It was a Sprinter van that we were originally thinking about getting into. So it's kind of like an RV, but instead of an RV, it's a van. So everything is contained in a large traveling van size.
Yeah. So you were going to do the van life.
Yeah.
And then decided, which I see so many people doing the van life.
Yeah.
And decided it's not really enough space, which I congratulate you for that, because I don't think I could live in that space. How did you approach the soul searching? Were you journaling? Were you meditating? What brought the peace that allowed you to formulate this plan?
Sure. Post MS, I was doing everything that I could to figure out how to get better, how to heal my body. I came to a personal part of the journey where my beliefs were significantly challenged between my experience and what society was saying. My experience was that a lot of what was happening to me physically was a direct result of unhealed trauma, of misery, of things that I had not dealt with in my life, even though I thought I had done years of traditional therapy, and I felt I could check that box and move on. And that was in the past and not who I was. But my personal experience was that all of that was not done. I had not truly healed it. Talking about it for me is not the same as actually healing that trauma. And so I felt that all of the medical symptoms were coming to a head for me. And so post the MS, it was just a continuation of part of the journey to figure out, how do I actually heal this? How can I move on from this without this continuing to plague my life? I tried pretty much everything, every self-help book, looked at somatic experiencing as an option, tried that for a good period of time, went to Buddhism. I was like, they seem like really smart people. They seem like they know something I don't know. So let me try that. Educated myself with Buddhism and was doing acupuncture and working on some food sensitivities. And, I was asking everybody. And so I asked the acupuncturist, I was like, hey, do you know of somebody who does trauma healing? Yes, I do. And so gave me a telephone number. I called this lady and I was like, oh my God, she's crazy. And, but we were talking and, I immediately felt like I had a better outlook on my life. And I thought, well, there has to be something here with her. I'm feeling better than I have felt in a really long time. I've now been seeing her for 3 years. I have done 3 to 5 hours in consecutive period with her per week, because I have just been attacking the limiting beliefs in my life, healing the trauma, doing the work on myself in order to gain permanent healing. And my body and my health that I experience today, for me, has been a direct result of that trauma healing. So yeah, do I journal? Sure. Do I meditate? Sure. I do all of that. But without doing the work that I've been doing for the past 3 years, I would not be here doing this life at all. Guaranteed. Wouldn't happen.
Wow.
Is the woman that you were seeing, is she the one that's on your website? Kathy?
Yes, correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And, sometimes I still struggle, like, what do I call her? Sometimes I'll say she's a spiritual guide, but to me, she's like half shaman, half miracle worker, energy worker. She is an intuitive. She is a channeler. And, all of that I thought was a load of crap the first day that I met her. 3 years later, I am a completely different person that I never could have dreamed that I even had the ability to become. So, hey, there's something there.
Yeah, there's definitely something there.
Yeah, I have to applaud you for, first off, doing the research, right? Like looking into other modalities and different theories and therapies and that sort of thing, and figuring out what worked for you and being open-minded enough to go, well, this sounds kind of crazy, but let me give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to you for that. Is your MS in remission now?
Oh yeah, no. I was able to self-heal that within a couple of years of the diagnosis. 2013 was the diagnosis, and several years later, I no longer had any symptoms because I was working every single day to transform my life, getting rid of the plastics, going to organic foods, right? I was looking at every single chemical that I was coming into contact with. So I was doing that work, and that had a significant impact that helped me to self-heal that lesion, so much to the fact that when they did their annual scan and I went in, the guy actually said, we can't tell that you have ever had a lesion here. They actually requested the original scan, which, was like, had it circled so that they like knew where to look, right? When they compared them side by side, they're like, we see like the little scar tissue maybe that was able to self-heal that, which again, I'm told by doctors that that's very unusual, but the blessing that I had is nobody told me it wasn't possible. So when I was diagnosed with MS, I'm like, I'm going to kick this. I'm going to heal this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to have my life back. Nobody, thank God, told me that doesn't usually happen and it probably won't happen for you. And so I went after it. I was relentless every single day trying to get better and figure out, how did I get here? How can I get out of here? That was just amazing. And I'm so grateful that I was able to have that. I have like 1% of symptoms today, which is I can't flex my foot. It has to be bent. If I flex my foot, it will start to do all sorts of weird spasms and be very painful. That's my MS symptom that I have remaining in my body today. Everything else is gone.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yes, congratulations. That is amazing.
Yeah.
So when you set out on this grand adventure with your husband, my favorite part of reading your vlog, I hope people will go on your website and read, but my favorite part was when you were describing the first few days traveling with the cats. What was that like for you?
I want to know about that because I have a cat and there's no way I could travel anywhere with her. She would lose her mind and then I would lose my mind. So
I will tell you that 600 and whatever days later, it's still really hard. It is hell. I did not have a clear understanding of just how much cats don't like change. I also had not evolved enough from a spiritual perspective to really understand how energy affects everything. Traveling from Airbnb to Airbnb, every time we walk into a house, what has happened in that house? What has transpired? Who were the people and what were they experiencing in their life and going through, right? That leaves an imprint, if you will, in the space. Well, now I have a better understanding of just how spiritually connected cats are, much more so than dogs in some cases. They pick up on that energy. And I truly believe that the cat's gift for us as their companions is to clear that energy for us. As they are absorbing and processing, they are a little bit challenged as we move like every 30 days, right? We're in a different location. So by the time that it seems like they're settling in and the energy in the house is clean and everybody is enjoying themselves. Boom, it's time to go off to a different location. And when we were in the Florida Keys surrounded by water, you know how much cats love water. They really struggled. I often tell people that Greg and I were sleeping just a couple of hours, and then I would take the shift, and I would be awake with the cats. He would sleep a couple hours, and then he would get up and I would go back to sleep, all while I'm trying to run multiple companies and trying to do all the fun things in the Florida Keys. But yeah, I felt like I had bags down to here. I mean, we were so exhausted. It's really tough. And we're taking them to Greece next year, because that's our next destination. And so it's going to be real interesting getting them on a plane. And
how's that going to work, traveling with animals internationally? I mean, what sort of hoops are y'all going to have to jump through for that?
So many. Yes, we actually have a pet travel agent that is helping us navigate the significant and detailed amount of required paperwork for both countries. And of course, once we have that documentation and we arrive in Greece to see their vet there and then be able to get their pet passport, then of course, there's additional paperwork when we have to come back after the year that our visa expires. So now we've got to get them back into the country, right? So there's more paperwork. So yeah, it's quite significant, but they've never been on an airplane. So, we are not only putting them on an airplane, we're putting them on multiple planes, and we're going international travel, right? So it's long flights. We're just going to go with the flow. We know that if there's a problem, we'll figure it out. We'll get it solved, and whatever is meant for us will be.
Wow, that's great to have that confidence in your ability to just, whatever happens, we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
This is the end of the world.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit more about your Greece trip. So are you guys going to go to different places?
Yes.
Within Greece? Okay.
Yes.
So have you guys decided where you're going to go yet, or is that still a little ways away?
So right now, where I am in the process is that our final interview at the Greek consulate is in February. That's when we submit all of our paperwork, right? The criminal background check, the FBI background check. We have to have multiple documents apostolatized and translated into Greek.
Wow.
We have to show bank statements. We have to have medical certification saying like we're not taking some weird disease over to Greece, right? We have to show proof of medical insurance for Greece so that we don't become a burden on their medical system, et cetera. So all of this is submitted at the Greek consulate in February. That is really the linchpin of when we will start to finalize all of the plans for Greece. So we right now have a list. This is where we want to go. This is when we want to go there. This is the list of Airbnbs that we're really interested in staying in. But because we book for a month at a time, it's non-refundable at that point. Once we book, we don't get that money back. So if we forget to dot the I and cross the T on one of these documents by accident, and we end up somehow not being able to go to Greece, then we don't get that money back, and we're just not in a position to do that. So we are literally throwing ourselves into the flow of life with the attitude that if this is meant to be, once we get our visa and we start making those plans, that everything will fall into place and be what the universe has in store for us.
That's how you travel through the US, is booking Airbnbs, and usually for a month at a time.
Yes, absolutely. And usually we book a year in advance because traveling with cats, like we were talking about, is so difficult. Pet friendly in Airbnb speak usually means dog friendly, not necessarily cat. And so trying to find an Airbnb that has all the things that we need, good Wi-Fi first and foremost, a dishwasher, washer, dryer. These are musts for us in our lifestyle. We prefer hardwood floors, not carpet, because it's gross. If we're able to find that, we're like booking it. So this really is another part of the evolution of learning about myself because of this travel, that this is the first time I'm like, we're not booking a year in advance. We are going to get our visa in February and we arrive there in March and we don't have a place to stay yet. But this is part of that confidence and evolution of myself, of letting go of control, letting go of that need to have everything mapped out for that security that once made me feel less anxious. I'm honestly doing really, really well. I'm shocked with myself. It's like, wow, I've really come a long way. I am not losing my ever-loving mind over this, worrying and fretting and, oh my God, what's going to happen? We can't.
I could use that lesson somehow. It seems to be the lesson of control is the one I keep repeating over and over and over again. You did mention to go to Greece, you have to have a year's worth of prepaid insurance. How do you handle insurance in the United States when you're traveling around? Because neither one of you is technically you're working, but they're your own businesses. So that's one of the problems in the US. How do we self-insure? And how do you do that as a nomad?
Yeah. Honestly, when people talk to me about, I want that life, but and here comes the litany of excuses. It's usually money and insurance, right?
Yes,
insurance
I could see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There are actually many options for coverage that most people just don't know about, because I feel like somebody doesn't want us to know about it, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I actually use a health sharing plan. So basically that means that if I have some sort of medical situation, I can go to the doctor. I can go to any doctor right here in the United States. I don't need one of those pre-certification things. I go to the doctor of my choice. I don't need a referral. So if I want to go to a gastrointestinal doctor and not a regular doctor, then that's what I do. I go to that person. I pay for it out of pocket. And then based on certain criteria within my health sharing plan, I take those receipts and I submit it to the health sharing plan. And then again, if I meet the criteria of reimbursement, then they actually reimburse me the whole amount, lock, stock, and barrel for that appointment, the prescriptions that pertain to that appointment, etc. And again, it covers me in a catastrophic situation, like up to $1 million per event, etc. So if I'm in a car accident, God forbid, I don't have to worry. But digital nomads are so prevalent again that there's actually digital nomad health insurance that is available. There are multiple companies out there that are offering this. Additionally, if you are a business owner, which a lot of digital nomads are, you can use payroll services like Gusto. I love Gusto. And they actually have built-in benefits that you can choose from different insurance plans that, again, as a group, they're able to get group pricing. So, in our ebook that you had mentioned earlier, we really delve into each one of these, what I like to call myths, right? Myths about this type of life and about traveling that just aren't true. You don't have to limit yourself.
Talking about that, I noticed that you listed a bunch of different services that are specific to the digital nomad life, things that I would not have ever thought about, like how to get your mail, what the rules are around being able to get your mail. You have to have, there's certain aspect. Yeah, you have to have a specific domicile. And then, other things that you were talking about in the ebook, things that I had no idea about, but there's this whole seemingly cottage industry around digital nomads now, so that it makes it easier for you and all the other digital nomads to do this kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I would say anyone who's thinking about doing it should download that ebook, because you list everything out for everyone.
Yes. And I'm really excited because I have so much to share that it actually has become a book. So I'm literally in the process of writing the book that will have all of the very detailed text aspect, and the ebook will eventually just become the link companion to the book.
Oh,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it just, there's so much. And every day I'm coming into contact with new things. And now that we're going international, we have a different perspective there. I also want to mention that this is so prevalent that a lot of countries are actually creating digital nomad visas. You know, Portugal has really led, in my opinion, this process where they have a specific visa dedicated to digital nomads, understanding that you're going to be doing, quote, work in their country, not for their country. Greece also is rolling out their digital nomad visa. Anyway, there's a bunch of different other countries that are focusing on this because they recognize now more than ever post-COVID, people realize and are demanding flexibility in their work schedule, because I think that we are all tired of not truly living. Why is the vacation the life, right? That's what we're living. And it doesn't have to be that way. I live every day fully now, but I am still working. I'm still getting it all done. I'm still earning my salary, right? But there's so much more to life than just being static in a single location. There's so much in the world to see.
I think the reason people get stuck on it is because they think of those practical aspects, like, can I make enough money? How do I get the health insurance? How do I live a lifestyle that maybe my parents wouldn't approve of? Or, and then at my age, I would think, if I launched into something like this, am I risking my retirement at some day? But then again, I see people who wait for retirement and that day never comes. Are those the types of responses that you get from people when they're telling you why they could never do it?
Absolutely. The one that was probably the most surprising was the one who said, I need 2 screens to do my job, so I can't travel and be a digital nomad.
Then take 2 screens.
That's what I said. I was like, I travel with 2 screens. I have my monitor and I have my computer, right? And I have them connected. And so I travel. And it was like their mind blew up and a whole world opened up to them. But we get stuck in these limiting beliefs, right? Which I did too. I mean, the first time we were thinking about it, I was terrified with every fiber of my being. I felt like I was stepping off of a ledge, you know, but the second time when we actually did do it, I was fearless. I mean, I was so ready. I could not drive fast enough into this new life that I was creating, but I had done the work and gone through those limiting beliefs. And that's something that we help people with. I would also say, here's a different perspective. I had one of my bookkeeping clients who is a millionaire. He said to me, I am so jealous. I wish I could do what you're doing. And that was the moment that I went, that's it. Because he can. He can do it. In fact, he could do it better than me. I am not a millionaire.
He's a millionaire.
He's a millionaire. You can freaking do whatever you want. And you believe that that is not for you, that it's out there, someone else, unreachable. It's a limit, all the limiting beliefs. I've heard everything from, I'm worried that I won't be safe, right? Or I'll be alone, or the money, the insurance. What happens if I lose my job, or if I'm a business owner, I lose my clients? And I'm like, same thing that you would do if you were at your home and not traveling, you figure it out. But all the limiting beliefs. And it really does take work to look at those with honesty and bravery and see, does this continue to serve me? Is this empowering me, or is this limiting me? And it really is as simple as saying, I choose not to believe that anymore. I'm choosing to create this new belief. And then you adapt that belief into your life. And that is how the process of moving forward in a more empowered version of yourself allows you to transform and create a whole new life for yourself.
Now,
Wow.
you did all this work.
Yes.
Which is awesome. You did all your therapy and everything else. And then you worked with your guru mentor, the woman who helped you so much.
Yes.
Did Greg also do this work?
No.
See, that's interesting.
No.
Yeah.
So was he just all of a sudden he was ready? Like I'm trying to figure out how this works without him doing that work, or did he just not need to do that work? Was he always just like, I'm in, let's go do it?
The way that the conversation happened when we went through this evolution, you know, Kathy had suggested that every single day go into a play space where there were no boundaries. That meant that we didn't try and limit ourselves in any way. We didn't say, oh, we can't afford to do that, right? So we were just in a playground of imagination every day. So he would come home from work and we would say, where are we going to go? What are we going to do today? Right? Oh, let's go to Greece. We're on the beach and oh, the water is so beautiful. And we're staying at this villa. We got an ocean view and it's gorgeous. And right, we would see it, we would feel it, we would taste it in our bodies. And we
You're
did
manifesting.
Yes, and envisioning it.
You're manifesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we weren't saying immediately, we can't afford that villa. We can't afford to go to Greece, right? We weren't figuring out, well, how are we going to get the cats there? Like that did not exist. And so we did that for so long that's how the evolution of, oh, travel, oh, help other people, oh, blog, oh, you know, like, so that was part of the creation of where we are today. But when it came down to it, after this moment of blissful play, it was really coming to the surface of digital nomad, travel blogger, getting on the road, going and doing this. Like when that was coming to the forefront of actually being reality, I sat down with Greg and said, this is what I think. I think we should go now. I think we should do this. I'm done talking about it. I'm ready to live that life. Here's how I think that we should do this. And he said to me, that's great. I love it. I'm in when I retire. And that's another one I hear. I'll do it someday. I'll do it in the future. Someday down the road, there will be a point. That never happened. So I said to him, I hear you. Okay. That's probably 5-ish something years from now, right? I said, just think about this itinerary. We're going to go here. We're going to see these things. We're going to experience this. We're going to come together in a way that we haven't as a couple in a really long time, because you work the traditional job and I have my own business, and we're going to have this connection between us. We're going to do all of these things. We're going to see these things. We're going to have these experiences. And I said, if you die in 1 year, would you look back on what I just described to you? And would you regret it? Would you regret it if it's cost us every single cent that we have in the bank? Would you regret it? And he said, no. And I said, then what are we waiting for? Wow. And he said, you know, you're right. He said, you're right. He goes, life is really short. He said, my mom and my dad kept planning and planning for when dad would retire. Mom and dad would travel. Mom died of cancer before dad ever retired, and they never had that. At that point, we had so many people in our life recently pass away of an illness, cancer. And he said, you know, I look at the people that we've lost. Life is short. I want what you're saying. Let's do it. No, Greg didn't do the work, but every time that I grow, every time that I change, it forces Greg, whether he realizes it or not, to also be different. Also, because I'm pushing myself, I'm in every way that I communicate, in every way that I exist in my life, that has a ripple effect on the people around me. And so again, whether he is aware of it, it forces him to change. It forces him to respond differently.
Yeah, you're bringing him along with you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully he's willing, and he apparently loves it. He loves you.
Yes.
He spends all this time with you.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. I recently had someone say, how have you spent 600 days stuck together, traveling to all these places in a car, and you haven't killed each other yet? We are so far from killing each other. It is the most blissful that our relationship, any relationship in my entire life, has ever been. And so that has been a beautiful gift out of this journey that I even wasn't necessarily, I was hoping for it, but to the point that it is as beautiful and wonderful as it is, I could not have imagined. I just couldn't have imagined it.
Now, Greg likes to go on his bike and go on adventures. And then I saw that you do some hiking. What was it like that very first hike all by yourself?
It was really weird. I had been through an evolution prior to traveling where, when I was a mom, I shared hiking with my son. My son and I went hiking all the time together, and I was not alone. And when my son moved away as an adult, I had to figure out how to, again, through the healing process, heal my trauma and fears around vulnerability, being alone out in the world and feeling confident and safe. Then put me in a car, traverse me far from home, and I'm on this wild adventure where I'm feeling very exposed to the world in a way that I never have before. That very first one was freeing, while also being like, oh, this is weird, I'm just thrust out into the world. I don't have those roots or that safety of knowing where I am, being really familiar, being able to easily navigate my surroundings. I am in a place I do not know. I have never been. I know no one. I'm on this trail. I'm sort of ish by myself in the fact that there's some people, but it's not like a steady stream of people. That's been one of the gifts is having so many opportunities to expand as a person. If I had stayed home in my little cage in Texas, I would not have been forced or pushed myself to put myself in situations where I have to grow. I have to deal with this stuff and confront my fears head on if I want to be the person that I know I can be, that I'm meant to be. That's just one example of, okay, we're out here, we're by ourselves. This is a little nerve-wracking, but it's also really cool. And let's do it. And it has just gotten easier and easier and easier. And now I'm navigating the world with a confidence that I had never imagined for myself. And it's awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
How did you guys come to the decision to literally pack up everything and travel that way and be digital nomads that way, as opposed to another way of, say, maybe you travel for a month and then come home, or travel for 2 weeks and then come home? How did that decision come about?
In that dream state that we were in, there was so much that we wanted to do and so much that we wanted to see. And we knew that we were taking the cats So flying wasn't really going to be comfortable for everyone. We knew how much stuff that we wanted to take with us, and it was just too much for a plane as well. So we're in the car, right? That's where we are. Trying to drive to Northern California and then drive all the way back to Texas to turn around and drive to,
Good point.
Canada. It was just like, no, it makes sense to start in Texas, work our way up as the weather is getting warmer in summer, make it to the northern part of the United States. And then as the weather is starting to get cooler, we work our way back to Texas so that we can be with the kids and everything for Christmas or, whatever, get our car inspected, see our doctors and dentists. Not that we don't take care of that while we're on the road if necessary, but, for annual stuff. And so it just made sense for us to do it that way.
I like that in your ebook and in all of your talking about this, that you mentioned that there are other ways to do it, that people don't necessarily have to do it the way that you and Greg are doing it, that what I was talking about, people can take a quote unquote working sabbatical and go somewhere and still be working, but then, maybe come back to their home base. Or what I've been hearing a lot more lately, and this is maybe one of the gifts, of COVID, is that companies realize that people can literally work from anywhere and get their job done. So people can do this a little more easily, depending on what company they work with. So I just love that you say that there are different ways to do this. So for people who maybe like me, who are ready to just, get rid of most of my belongings and not have a tether, that there's other ways to do it.
Yeah, I have a client who digital nomads once a year. I work with her to figure out what is the best place that she wants to go, or how does she want a digital nomad in that 1 month that she's doing per year. It doesn't have to be sell everything, have no home. Some people do it quarterly. Some people do it 6 months here and 6 months back home. Or there are so many ways. I mean, even people will do digital nomad for 3 days of their work week, come back home and back in the office, right? For 2. So you can do it any way that you want. You really can.
I love how excited you are about this.
Oh my gosh, this is really living for me. There was so many points in my life I went, is this it? Is this is this all that there is? Like, you go to work and you know, like, oh my God, shoot me now. Can it be more? And now it's incredible, the things that we've seen and experienced and learned, and the people that we've met, to have that connection with my spouse and to be in nature, constantly healing and transforming and experiencing all of these opportunities to grow as a person. This is life. This is fully living. And while some people, their 9 to 5 is this for them, that's great. But for so many of us, we desire this life. That's why it's becoming so popular. And I feel so excited to share it with people because I know how it's going to transform them. And it's like, I know what's coming for you. I'm already celebrating that, right? Like, it's amazing.
More manifesting. I love it.
Yes.
You said, quote, as a digital nomad, the top benefit is freedom to live by your own desires. What does that look and feel like to you?
Yeah. When I was in my prior life, I felt very constricted and trying to be the good girl, trying to live up to everyone's expectations, trying to be what they thought that I should be. I was, in essence, looking for self-love, self-value, and self-worth in an outside source, all the outside sources, all of them.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The digital nomad life has allowed me to take back my life, to not be a victim to all of that, which society perpetuates, unfortunately, and to take that back and say, I don't care if you don't approve, if you don't like, if you disagree, if you have an opinion about. This is my life, and I'm going to live it in every untamed, wild woman way that I possibly can.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
that's what I want every woman to say.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, our tagline is creating a life wild and free, because that is what we want to show people is available. You can get out of the cage. You can break the chains. You can choose to be someone other than what you were taught or indoctrinated or, whatever to be. Live that life according to your own moral code, according to what is right for you. That was the biggest thing in being a business owner, that I started to feel that freedom. It's like, I don't have to take that client that does animal testing, because animal testing is not in my moral code.
Yeah.
And I turned that client down. But in the workplace, the traditional workplace,
you'd have to take
I
them.
was constantly asked to sacrifice who I was in order to get along, to go along.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Done with that. Bye-bye.
Yes. Yes.
I was going to ask you how this was a feminist issue, but I think you just...
I know. We all know now.
Actually, a humanist issue for men and women, all people.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we're all conditioned to be a certain way. Inside, we're like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And we're kind of pushing at the, the constraints, but not everybody does anything about it.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're working with your clients as a life coach to get them to go, okay, I don't like these constraints. I need to do something about this. I need to break these chains and live the life that you're living. Live with the energy and the joy and the vigor that you, Alise, are just bubbling over with.
First of all, it's a choice. It is a choice. It all starts with choosing. When we first set out, the question was, how did you become a travel blogger? Like there was some outside federation that had to bestow the title upon me, right? Yeah. And so I just looked at them flatly and I was like, I decided that that's what I was. And then I was a travel blogger. For you. Everything in life, even if our circumstances stink, and I can look back to all the trauma and all the reasons that I became medically ill, those were my choice, whether I want to admit it or not. Those were as a result of all the decisions that I had made in my life, the toxic relationships I chose, the job that I took that I was miserable in and stayed. That was all my choice. It was a matter of choosing what I wanted my life to be, right? That's what Greg and I did when we were in that play space. And when we made the decision of, we're going to be digital nomad travel bloggers, we're going to get on the road, we're going to help other people to have this life too. And that it literally is that simple. And when I work with other people, the other piece of that is, besides you have to decide what you want, you have to put action and steps into achieving that, is having the courage to look at the limiting beliefs that are keeping you small and choosing beliefs like we talked about earlier that are going to empower you, that thus will transform your life.
Did you schedule that playtime? Was that something you did every day on schedule? Or
no, it was just when he came home and we were sitting there together. And we did it really, really regularly. Maybe I don't want to say like every single day, but like pretty much every day there was time dedicated to this imagination, that this world that we created for ourselves, which I have to say was no more or less real than reality, right? We think that something has to fit in our hand for it to be real. I can tell you that the joy that I felt in my body and in my soul from that imaginative world that we created was just as real. Yeah. And that's the glory of manifesting, right? Sometimes you don't even have to physically have it in your hand. You have it when you feel it. It is real for you.
Yes. It's like daydreaming, but with a purpose.
Yes.
I love it. And the way that you said that, think about this and talk about this, and you're doing the work and you brought Greg along with you. That's exactly what you guys as a couple are doing for everybody who reads your blog and reads your ebook, and people who are going to listen to this. You guys are you're rippling out and you're having an effect on other people. Like, I want to figure out how I can do this for my life. I think that would be fantastic. Like maybe going to Cancun for a month and bringing my laptop.
I love it.
Enjoying.
I love it. You can go anywhere your heart's desire. You can figure out how to make it happen.
I hear about people who they retire and then they do all the things, right? But then they're also having to be concerned with mobility issues, possibly, or they can get whatever medications or all of these things that maybe for people who get to that point when they're, in their retirement, there's all that time that they could have done that before maybe those issues started to arise. I love that you're showing people that there are other ways to live your life. We don't all have to do the same 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, 2 weeks of vacation, but you can't take all 2 weeks at the same time. So you gotta break them up, and your PTO is part of your vacation time. So you don't really get 2 weeks of vacation. I mean,
and you're probably going to work while you're on vacation.
Yes. You're going to be checking the email and doing the things. And exactly. I mean, you're not enjoying your vacation. I mean, I can't tell you how many trips I've gone on with friends and they're like, hold on, I'll be with y'all in a few hours. I'm on call, or I have to go and put out this fire at work. I'll join y'all later.
Or they're looking at the text from work on their phone while y'all are talking.
Yes.
So they're never fully present in the moment. They're never disconnecting from that. Yeah. And then we wonder why we're all stressed out and miserable.
No kidding. Nope. No kidding.
I have one more question.
Okay.
You said in your ebook, ask me about the time I showered at Big Bend National Park at 5 a.m. in the dark in front of my tent, thinking I was the only one awake.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh my God. I never thought anybody would really ask me.
Well, you said to ask me.
My son and I went to Big Bend. We had an amazing hiking experience. I mean, post MS, I was not able to shower. I lost the ability to write my name. I could barely walk. I couldn't go to the grocery store anymore because I couldn't walk that much. I couldn't walk that far. And so post MS, I was like, I am walking everywhere. I can do this. I am well. I have my life back. I'm not gonna take that for granted anymore. Right? Nature, healing, here I come. And so we went to Big Bend. We had this amazing hiking experience. I was hiking literally heights that I had never hiked before. Wow. It was euphoric. It was also hot.
Sweaty. Yeah.
I had sweated in the tent the whole night and I was gross and I hate that. So I thought, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. I'm just going to take this bottle of water. I'm going to step out of the tent, right? My son's asleep. He's dead to the world. I'm going to take this bottle and I'm just going to get down naked and I'm going to pour this bottle of water. I'm going to do a little shave, a little soap, and then I'm going to rinse again. Right. So I'm standing behind this bush because you've got the opening to the pad, right, where the tent was. So you've got where the driveway is. So I'm to the right of that. The tent's behind me and I'm behind this bush, but it's dark, really like pitch black dark. I'm doing this completely naked, right? I'm doing the whole shave, soap, all this. And the people, so kind, in the pad across from us were awake, apparently. They were so kind to assist me to be able to see what I was doing that they turned their headlights on, which were directed completely and thoroughly at me, to the point that at that moment, all I could do was go, hi, because the bush that I thought I was hiding behind was more of a twig. It had not very much actual brush. Once the lights were on, you could pretty much see everything. There we have it.
Hey, it's all living.
Yes,
indeed. You're okay.
That's a great story. Thank you for being brave enough to tell it.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, it's I still look back and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I mean, I think it's hysterical. When you're there, what are you going to do? You're just going to say hi? And
I mean, they've already seen you. Yeah. So it's like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Move along.
Exactly.
You've already seen it. Move along.
Show's over, people. Show's over.
They lingered. They kind of stood there and, the headlights. I'm like, really? It's a really great memory. It brings me embarrassment and also joy at the same time.
That is so awesome. You are truly alive. You, Alise, just glowing about all of this and just
for the first time in my life. But I feel that this is my life purpose, is that when you realize what your life purpose is, that's when life, passion, purpose, that's when you tap into it. And it's this incredible level of energy, right? And I'm so grateful. I just feel like this is my purpose. This is why I'm here. I also feel that my purpose in life is to heal the generational trauma, right?
Yes.
The lineage. And I feel that is why I was born. But I feel that this is just part of that life purpose. This is the evolution of how I'm getting there, how I am breaking that cycle for my lineage. It took me, I'm 48. It took me a while to get here. I was on the path and I remember it. And then I got off the path when I was doing the life and adult things I thought I was supposed to do. And it took MS to propel me into figuring this out again. And it has been a strong evolution to get to this point, but I'm back. I'm on the path. I feel it in every cell of my body that I am where I am meant to be. When you arrive there and you know it, it's like a bullet train. It's like, whoosh, you're off. And to have that sense of energy in my body now is incredible.
Alise, you are a force of nature. I am here for it. And I love that you are sharing this with everyone. Yes. Yes.
Well,
love
like
it.
you and I said at the beginning, and I think it's so important. One of the reasons that I feel compelled to share this is because I did wake up one day and realize I was in a cage. And the door was open and I never knew it. I didn't know that I was caged. I had no clue. One of us is not free until all of us are free. All of us must be able to have the space to be who we are, to live life on our own terms, whatever that is. And when we allow others to do that, we become free. When we become free, it allows others to become free. We must fight for every single person to have the freedom to be themselves. I want to inspire other people. Whatever is right for them, do it.
Yes.
Do it. Get out of the cage. Be who you are. We need people to be who they are now more than ever. in our world. We are each an integral part of the evolution of, as a society, who we can become. And we must all free ourselves.
Alise, that's perfect. Thank you so much for being with us today, giving us a taste of what we all could have.
There's nothing special about me that allows me to do this. I just decided. That's it. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you both so much for having me. This was incredible. I had a blast. I had a joyous time. Thank you for that gift in my life, this joy that we've experienced together. So thank you.
Bye, Alise. Thank you.
Bye.
How did you experience Alise and her energy and her love for life and not be lit up by that?
No, seriously, she's someone I would love to work with as a coach. You know, early COVID, like in probably July of 2020, my daughter, Olivia, my daughter, Gabby, Chelsea, and I, and my mom were kind of all on the couch. And we were sitting in a circle and we said, there has to be a better life than this. Not that we hate our lives, but we were like, there has to be a better way than getting up, going to work, coming home, paying bills, getting up, going to work, maybe throw some TV in there. And that's when we started talking about me quitting my job and Olivia doing her business. And we were like, maybe we could create a world of artists, artist culture. And I feel like our podcast is our art. Maybe we create that. And I can see we didn't do what Alise did. The reason I asked about, did you and Greg have a schedule for this kind of conversation? Because I can now see the steps that kind of made that possible. We always talk about visioning and manifesting, and you have to be able to vision it, to see it, to feel it, to like, I think about her like feet on the ocean of Greece, her feet in the sand and like feeling it. You smell the ocean and the way, the emotions that you feel being there with your husband. That is the manifestation that we have been trying to talk about. And she has done it.
Yes, she took the time to do that manifesting. We all get so caught up in the rat race and the cycle and work, sleep, do it again, work, sleep, do it again. And we don't take the time, like when we were kids, daydreaming, imagining other ways of being, and then taking it further and manifesting and feeling it and seeing it. I feel like the more that you feel it and can see it, it's almost like the blinders just fall away and you can start to see the steps.
You're saying the more we feel it, the more embodied, the embodiment, we're feeling it in our body.
Yes.
It's the manifestation and the embodiment.
Yes.
That I love her and her life.
Oh,
and
so much
for people.
Yeah. And making sure that people realize they can do it too. You can make this work for your own life in your own way. Oh, I'm just sitting on a cloud right now.
Me too. Bye, Raquel.
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.